Imagine your most personal information, your name, address, social security number, being handed over to the federal government without your explicit consent. That's exactly what's happening to millions of Americans who rely on food assistance. At least 27 states have complied with a controversial demand from the Trump administration to turn over sensitive data about Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP recipients, formerly known as food stamps. But here's where it gets even more unsettling. Most of these states are led by Republican governors, while Democratic-led states have largely refused, citing concerns over privacy, legality, and potential misuse of the data. SNAP, a lifeline for nearly 42 million Americans each month, has become the center of a heated battle over data privacy and government overreach. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, claims this data is necessary to identify and eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. But Democratic state officials argue it's part of a broader pattern of the Trump administration collecting personal data for purposes like immigration enforcement, a claim that has sparked fierce debate. And this is the part most people miss. Even though undocumented immigrants are ineligible for SNAP, parents of U.S. citizens can receive benefits for their children, regardless of their own immigration status. Could this data be used to target immigrant families? The controversy reached a boiling point in court, where states like California fought back. On Wednesday, U.S. District Judge Maxine M. Chesney issued a preliminary order blocking the Trump administration from punishing states that refuse to hand over SNAP data. California Attorney General Rob Bonta didn't hold back, stating, "The president is trying to hijack a nutrition program to fuel his mass surveillance agenda." Bold words, but they reflect a growing concern among privacy advocates and state officials alike. Here's the kicker. The USDA's demand for data goes back to 2020 and includes names, dates of birth, home addresses, social security numbers, and benefit amounts. In the past, the federal government audited state data without collecting such detailed personal information. So why the sudden change? The Trump administration points to an executive order signed in March requiring federal agencies to have unfettered access to state program data to combat waste and fraud. But critics argue this is a thinly veiled attempt to centralize personal data for other purposes, like immigration enforcement. And this is where it gets controversial. The USDA has already run SNAP data through the Department of Homeland Security's SAVE system, which verifies immigration status. While the agency claims it's uncovered instances of fraud, like households receiving multiple payments or deceased individuals enrolled in SNAP, state officials argue these findings lack context and could have legitimate explanations. For example, a Vermont resident who relies on SNAP told NPR she's terrified of being wrongfully accused of fraud, especially since she already lives in fear of making a minor paperwork mistake. "It's not about preventing waste, no way," she said, "because we're pennies to the dollar. The stakes are higher than ever. With SNAP facing its deepest cuts in history and changes to eligibility requirements, millions of Americans are at risk of losing access to food assistance." Meanwhile, states are locked in legal battles, not just over SNAP data, but also over voter roll data and Medicaid information, which the Trump administration has sought to share with federal agencies without consent. Is this a necessary crackdown on fraud or a dangerous overreach of government power? As the debate rages on, one thing is clear. The line between protecting public resources and violating individual privacy has never been more blurred. What do you think? Is the Trump administration's data collection justified, or does it cross a line? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments.